Being a first baseman used to mean something. It used to mean 30 home runs a year, 100 RBIs, and an unnecessary ability to do the splits. It used to mean stealing one base a year and getting celebrated for it like you resisted drugs at a Charlie Sheen party. It used to mean striking out your first 3 at-bats, only to hit a solo home run in the bottom of the 8th to cut the lead to 9. And now this. The lowest slugging percentage by first baseman in over 20 years. It's not just slugging percentage either. This was the first season since at least 2008 where first base was not the best offensive position in baseball. They weren't even second best either, as both right fielders and DHs out-hit them. Instead of watching a 6'4", 250-pound Miguel Cabrera hit missile after missile into the gap and over the fence, I'm subjected to watching a 5'10", 175-pound Luis Arraez slap the ball the other way for his 5th single of the day. Disgusting. How did we get here? On the surface, this theory actually makes some sense because with the DH being in both leagues, teams could give their first basemen some rest days by DHing them. The data backs up this increase in DHs as we saw that number reach an all-time high this year. And that data even supports a slight drop in the number of full-time first basemen compared to past seasons. But while we did see some players lose at-bats to the DH spot, guys like Ryan O'Hearn, Cody Bellinger, and Andrew Vaughn, for example, it's not significant enough to make any sort of real difference in the overall performance of the position. Okay, so maybe we have a bunch of Spencer Torkelsons coming to the plate all the time and striking out every 3 at-bats, and that's dragging the overall numbers down. Well, this really isn't true. The negative run value from season to season has actually been relatively steady. It's actually the Brandon Belts, the Rhys Hoskins, and the Adam LaRoches of the world. The guys that are good, not great, those guys are totally missing this year. I don't even know why I entertained this thought, to be honest. It took about 2 clicks to realize that first base defense is in fact still terrible and will probably remain that way forever. But hey, at least they're not left fielders. Let's face it, we were spoiled rotten by the first baseman of our youth. Take a look at the list of first basemen from 2009. We got 1 legitimate Hall of Famer, 3 more that will get in, and another 3 that were borderline. Now, nostalgia is a powerful drug, and I'd be lying if I didn't feel the urge to snort a line from time to time, but there is real data to back up how good this crop of first basemen were. This season saw 13 first basemen reach an adjusted OPS of 130 or higher, which is the highest number for any season in the history of first basemen. For some context, a 130 OPS plus is exactly what Jose Ramirez's career average is. And that was just the minimum. The guys at the top were otherworldly. I mean, that year Albert Pujols had an OPS of 1100, hit 47 home runs, and won his 2nd MVP in a row. Most seasons won't come close to this type of greatness, but it looks like with the 2024 group, they're not just missing the top-end talent, but they're also missing those rising stars. Rising stars that seem to be popping up at other positions, but not really at first base. Pasquantino, Casas, and Torkelson were supposed to be those guys. Casas looks like he probably will be one day, but he got bogged down by injuries this year. Vinny's been good too, but he has struggled to stay on the field. And then of course there's Torkelson, who, if I'm being nice, would probably bat 8 for the local high school team right now. You can certainly make the argument that offense was down this year. Look at weighted on base average, run value, or good old-fashioned runs per game. But these numbers don't tell the whole story. Notice that while runs were down, home runs were not. Neither were barrels or hard hit percentage. In fact, those numbers were quite strong compared to other seasons. It turns out that hitting the ball wasn't the problem, landing the ball was. I'm sure some of this can be explained by the drag on the baseball, which probably contributed to the lack of distance the ball had, but let's leave that topic for someone who actually understands physics. Besides, the cooler reason is this. Outfield defense went crazy in 2024. Mike Petriello of MLB.com wrote a whole article about this, and in it he uncovers a few gems. 1. Outfielders, although really it's just center fielders, are taking away more hits than ever. 2. The best center fielders are doing it by getting the best jumps in the game, not necessarily by getting the best routes. And 3. Everyone in the outfield is getting younger and faster. Okay, so for those that need a TLDR, here it is. We got hits being taken away, at-bats lost to the DH, Tom Brady deflating the balls or whatever causes more drag to occur, a lack of any consistent talent, and Hall of Famers retiring. Now people are going to say, oh, it's a normal down year. These things happen. I'm sure it'll fix itself for the next couple of years. And you know what? No. Blockbuster, MySpace, Sears, dinosaurs. All of these things are dead because they couldn't adapt. One of them may have been wiped out by a giant unavoidable object, but hey, Mark Zuckerberg's a weird dude. There's only one way out of this, seeing as we're too cool to take steroids nowadays, and that's the Bryce Harper effect. We just gotta move our best hitters to first. This will return balance to the force and reestablish a first base offensive superiority. Perhaps one where a 38-year-old Carlos Santana isn't in the top 5.